Badinma Bandinma
Hutch 3G වේගයෙන් රටවටා
Nidahase Withinna Hangenna Deninna.
Touch, feel, love, experience more with Hutch 3G.
Of the Leadership Council that has been now instituted within the UMP. Why, on what premise have you been against?
I have not been a critic of the Leadership Council. It's just that how it was formed actually when this was proposed, because there was people wanted a change in the party, and after seeing what has happened right throughout the past few years, the UMP has not done well especially in the elections, and that is not because the government is doing well. It is actually because we have not got our act together. So that change, we were working towards that change, and as a result, this was proposed actually a leadership council. So we thought the second best, that was not actually my first option, would have been a different one, but since we have to listen to everybody, and some members and some party stalwarts would have been a bit worried if the leadership changes to another person, that their positions would be actually jeopardized, and so to satisfy everybody, we agreed for this leadership council. There were three actually suggestions by us when we especially when we met in Kurunagala. That is for the constitution to be amended in a way that change would come. So we proposed that, and that was agreed by Honorable Karu Jayasuriya, Honorable Sajith Premdas, and all the priests who were there. And that was for the leader's name to be replaced by the Leadership Council, and the advisory committee's name to be replaced by the Leadership Council, and the working committee to be headed by the chairman of the Leadership Council. So that is a basis that, and everybody accepted that, and if real change as we expected, and as the supporters expected, so those three proposals didn't materialize in the end.
Yeah, but contrary to what you're saying, Girambe Anandatheru, who was the head monk, who was in negotiation, he had told us his newspaper that that you all received everything.
I probably Graham Hamdro doesn't understand the politics and the dynamics and the legality of it then, because it's not true. Because that day, there were about I think 19 proposals, and then it came to 9 proposals. Those proposals actually to be implemented, these changes were necessary. These are the practical, because the proposals were the leader should actually give all his powers to and there were so many proposals like that. So practically, for this to go forward, these were the 3 things that should change in the constitution. Without this being changed, nothing will change.
Isn't that only your view? Because Karu Jayasuriya and several others accept that the change they required has been received.
I think only Mr. Karu Jayasuriya, right? People who are actually vocal on this, only Mr. Karu Jayasuriya has been of that view. Not Sajith Premdas, not Ranjit Madhumandar, not Tala Tatukurla, not myself, not Ranga Bandara. Actually, we don't need a change. If you all are happy, if the country is happy, if the supporters are happy, if party is doing it, we don't need a change. And we have actually no issue us working together also. We have always been, and we have never had any deals with Rajapaksas. We've never had any deals with mostly actually the people who are struggling for this change. For UMP to come back to, because there's a need, greater need actually at this moment of this hour, because the country is totally corrupt and all the institutions are all corrupt, and we are heading for anarchy, and it's like it is no difference to Iraq when they were actually before Saddam Hussein left, or Gaddafi's regime. It's the same. So when everything is against the government and the people wanting a change, that UMP should blast its way through to power. So if that is happening, we have no objections and we will support, and we have been always, I have been one of the biggest critics of the government, as you said, and we want, and if UMP is winning, we don't need a change. But we know what people want, and that change must be given to them, because they are going to punish us. They punish us in the first election, in the central province. They are going to punish us more in this election.
What do you believe that is what people want?
It's the change from the top, no? That power, the taking decisions and everything, because people believe, the supporters have a actually belief now. Our approach had been wrong in so many areas. So for that, actually, my suggestion was for Sajid Premadasa to take over, and he is the most popular guy in the party at this moment. So for that, we were planning for that with this leadership council. And this leadership council, and I'm not going to criticize the leadership council, because whatever the party takes, and I didn't even in the convention, I didn't even vote for this. I just I sat down, and I'm the only person who didn't actually. But once the party takes a decision, whether it's right or wrong or illegal, once it's taken, that we are fully supportive of that decision. So we are going to support, the leadership council is going to, now there's no point actually. It had been decided. So we are going to give our fullest support in this election. So in this election, if they come through, then I won't have any criticism. Then I'll support the leadership council, and I'll get them to move forward and give my full strength.
One reason that has been pointed out is that Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe does not understand the heartbeat or the masses of this country, or what they want. We believe that is because the background, that he comes from a very elite background that is not in line with the masses of this country. You, on the other hand, also come from that same background. So how would you say that you understand what the people want, as opposed to Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe?
Actually, I'm not going to talk about Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe, because he's the leader of the party. So I'm not going to talk about him, but I talk about our predecessors. J.R. Jayawardena was also from that elite. D.S. Senanayaka, in a way, not as much as J.R. Jayawardena, but like all our leaders, except for Mr. Premadasa, were from that elite background. But it's not how we have been brought up. You can be brought up in an elite background, but still you can understand the feelings of the people. And once you understand those feelings, then you make a good leader, and the people, you make the leader that people expect you to be. And you have to have charisma, you have to have the message, as you say, the heartbeat of the people and what they want, how they think. And I was always, because I knew that when the war was actually at the latter stages, knew that this war is going to be headed in a good way for us, and this war will end. So from that day onwards, I have been supporting the war. And like that, so many other issues where sometimes the UMP, some leaders took a wrong view of the war. And that had actually really boomeranged on us. We were actually the architects of the demise of the LTT, not anyone else. But with certain things that some leaders said, that we gave up that actually gratitude we could have got, and gave us the wrong impression, gave the people the wrong impression. Even human rights, you have to know when to talk about human rights and when not to. And actually, must be the worst countries for human rights out of the world. There are no human rights in this country. It's politicized, everything is politicized, no police, no legal system, nothing. But when it comes to foreign resolutions and stuff like that, we must know how to react to those in a different manner. Not in general, the human rights and all that, you can take it to the West and you can make a big uproar and get them the pressure. And I was reading from Hansard, from the president, Mahinda Rajapaksa himself. When he had gone in 89 or something to UN, he had said, stop all the aid to Sri Lanka. And this is the only place we can come and say the injustice happening in Sri Lanka. And I am speaking for the mothers and fathers who have suffered in this country. So when we do it, they say it's a traitor. And that time UMP also said that Mahinda Rajapaksa was a traitor. That is politics. And that is, he was not actually doing any treachery to the country. But like what happened, that in politically, so we have to know, you have to say no, this is not. And when it comes to the war, we have to stand by the war, because I believe that the armed forces and Mr. Mahinda Rajapaksa, Gotabaya Rajapaksa, Sarath Fonseca, especially Sarath Fonseca, and the armed forces, especially the armed forces, and they took maximum care to minimize the civilian deaths. and they took utmost precaution, and they did, I think, internationally, if you compare with the rest of the world, the most careful war. But at the same time, civilians may have died. So the government policy is wrong on that, and we should have expressed ourselves. I think GLP said no civilian deaths at all, zero. So which is not true. Then you have to Samara Singh says 5,000, then someone else says 10,000. It's totally unnecessary. Foreign policy was totally, so UMP would have capitalized on those, but supported the war at the latter stages, and we always supported. I always supported at the latter stage. And
one thing that you're harping on is this Karnapillian factor regarding the war, but your leader publicly last year at a press conference said that he was not responsible for Karnapillian's veering away from the LTT. What do you have to say to that?
I don't know whether he said it, but I definitely believe that it was us UMP actually from the LTT. It was actually, I spoke to Gamini Atukorla during that time, 2001 I believe, when he came into power. I asked him, why are you getting into this peace negotiation with the LTT? Isn't it dangerous? He said, no, just watch, Sujeewa. I'm just telling you today. Just watch. After you give them this breather, the people, their cadres will stop fighting. They'll have relationships with each other. They will want rubber slippers. They'll want a fan over their head. So the common enemy will diminish from their minds. So then there will be internal fights, and a couple of guys will actually leave Prabhakaran and come into the democratic. So he said these very words, and that's exactly what happened.
Veering away, Mr. Senasinghe, you've been one of the biggest backers of Sajid Premadasa. But time and again, like you said, even at the convention, he was one person who stood up for the Leadership Council, despite his heavy criticism of the Leadership Council. Don't you think he's now looking back at the past, don't you think he's the wrong man, that you're backing the wrong horse?
Not at all, no, but you see, because I can afford to not to support the Leadership Council, but he's one of the leaders in the council. And even though he has not actually on principle, as I said, what they agreed at the last meeting in Kurunegala, that was not, that didn't come into light, and that didn't come into a paper, and that was not move forward, those three proposals. And without those three proposals, whatever they say is not going to be, it's not for us, because we are not in the Leadership Council, no. Even though my name was proposed by the priests earlier as the youth nomination, they proposed my name. And but I was not in that, and after that, now I'm not in the Leadership Council. Not that I want to get in also, but it's just that, like, we were not asking for us. It's nothing for us. We were asking, give the Leadership Council all the powers, and Sajid Premadasa, and very well I think, and he stood up and he agreed with the council, even though he has a personal view that he should not get into it, because he's not. But the party, if they are taking decision that council is good for them, he will support. And Sajid Premadasa definitely support this election, but he is not in that committee for reasons which he has given.
Last year, Sajid Premadasa at the convention he sat down and didn't raise his hand for the new constitution that was passed.
That is right. No, that is a blatant violation of this thing, 6 years one. No? And I also stood up.
So I don't understand. You're contradicting yourself, Mr. Senasinghe.
No, now say it's as an election. Now at the last stage, they have brought this proposal and say, no, we are doing the right thing. It's not an extension of leadership for another 6 years, no.
Right.
That is a blatant violation.
Right. Now
so for that we disagreed. For that he disagreed. But here people say, okay, let them do this and see.
Right.
So that's what Mr. Sajid Premadasa has done. Honorably he has given another 3-4 months, no. If it works, he will definitely support. If we are going to win the elections, and we believe this is not the way to go forward. This is not the change that people expect. Because the people want that change. The supporters want that change. And as soon as we give that change, they'll come back and the UMP government will be formed. That will be 70 to 80 people who will be wanting to join us. Because they can't work with this nepotism. They are really frustrated with this nepotism. They are waiting for that change where the supporters are waiting. And once the supporters rally around us, and once that's given, but then that is my view and that is Sajid Premadasa's view. And there are other people who view in a different way. And for instance, Mr. Karojaya Surya. So we'll give him his fullest support. We didn't agree on the principle earlier, but then we agreed, and then we are not agreeing with how it had been formed, and but we give our fullest support 2-3 months. We have waited for 20 years now. We have been losing for 20 years almost. So 3-4 months, and if they are correct, we'll give up all what we say and we'll work together and give our fullest support without any questions, nothing.
Right.
But we'll wait and see how this is going to wind up in the future.
Right. Moving away, Mr. Senasinghe, you always spoke of the virtues of a UMP government. But don't you think today we live under much better circumstances than what we lived under UMP government? For example, you spoke of human rights abuses, but then it was UMP government that the Black Cats, Richard D'Souza's murder, all of that were blamed on the UMP government.
Yeah.
Don't you think today we live in a much better security and much better environment than then?
I don't think so, because that time it was war on both sides during the UMP government. If we had both wars at this time, this country would have been a different place. Now we don't have a war. There's total peace in this country. And Richard D'Souza also, I agree that UMP is actually responsible, even answering. I don't know how it happened, but there is a during UMP government, Richard D'Souza disappeared. So we have not been able to. UMP government was not able to find out how he disappeared, and actually, and that's a black mark on us. And I agree. And that is during the height of the wars from both sides. And but still, we can't move away from the responsibility. But you take now the situation now in the country. That's the most peaceful country in the world. But how many, as a journalist, how many journalists have disappeared? 19 have disappeared, right? And how many get hammered? And Lasantha Wickramatunge, during daylight, he was stabbed with actually a weapon where it used to kill pigs, and he was stabbed on the middle of the road. And it was done by a sort of a military sort of a background people, and that was a professional job. And not shot, nothing like that, not hidden, not a sniper shot, just blatantly 4 people moving around him, and about 10 minutes they were there, and nothing was. When then Eknali good, so many other disappearances, and so many people are abroad now. Sonali is abroad, Umindu Kulukulusuri is abroad. So many people have another Sonali, I think, is in the States. So all have gone, all have left. And how do you say it's a better? And look at the corruption. During UMP government, I was speaking Mahinda Rajapaksa's Hansard's actually president, when he was criticizing the government. He never says that our leaders have robbed. He says there are commissions being taken by officials. They never accused Mr. Premadasa. They never accused J.R. Jayawardena. They never accused Ranil Wickramasinge. They never accused Gamin Sanayaka. They never accused Ranjan Wijeratne, Lalita Thoratmudali. Not a single Hansard says that you have robbed. But now what's happening? 3,500 billion worth of business to China, 8.2% interest rates at dollar rate. And that is, if you compare it to rupee rate, that's about 32% a year. How can you take at 32%? No grace period. And no income generating development programs, no employment making developments. Normally, a development means you have to have, there are 5 criteria. Employment, you must have employment opportunities. Foreign currency should come into the country. And then the quality of the life should improve of the people. And the profitability of the people should improve. Nothing has happened. Hambantota port now 3 years down the line, 420 million rupees. What's that? A small shop can earn that within a year. And what about the expenses that? And that is also with the cars which have been actually which were in Colombo had been sent to Hambantota. This is not a new business that we have got. So like that, there's one example, 3,500 berths, Sampur, Trincomalee Jetty, Hambantota Port, Hambantota Airport, Hambantota Cricket Stadium, and all these, and the circular road in Trinco. All these, Norochole had been broken 25 times. Now during UMP government, our leaders are never accused of corruption like that. There were officials who were corrupt, which is true during UMP. So that we could have at the third world, that those are signals of a third world country, and we could have little by little got rid of it if we were in power, UMP. But now what's happening? All the development, it doesn't go to the ministry, and everything is done by a Chinese company, and there are 2 individuals involved in that, and who are close to this family, and they are related to this family, and they get the business, and they make about 20%, and they don't take commission, they take the business now. And what about the land deals in Colombo? 29 acres given in Maradand for Chelina, and that a very close person of the president, actually advisor, and his relationship to that deal, and that was stopped actually when we raised it. Then Krish, and then Tata case I was doing And they said the person who's doing the brokerage says that he has to pay $20 million to people who are involved. So I don't know who's involved in that. And then Krish, and 20 million were paid to two powerful people in the government, and who one is in parliament also, young parliamentarian, and that was paid by the finance ministry. And what about the finance ministry? And the one person handles all the money in this country, and even parliament, though parliament is actually responsible for that, parliament was never given a choice on that.
So there was an allegation in parliament against about you also being involved with regard to Krish Vimal Veervansha.
Yeah, that's the thing. So I said they're trying to sling mud at us and try to stop us actually speaking against it. There'll be more allegations against me. They'll try to stop us because I am one of the biggest critics. But that nothing will stop me. And they said that I was involved in Krish, and how can I get involved? I am in the opposition. How can I get involved in Krish? And then I actually challenged them, and then he challenged. He said, and now they don't even talk about it. And eventually, after about 2 weeks, it was revealed that it was actually a very powerful son of the system and MP also, who was involved for 200 million, I'm sorry, not 20, 200 million. 200 million given to him, another 200 million given to another very powerful family insider. So this was open, and there were actually two transactions, also 200 million going from the finance ministry. So nothing was proved. And where are these allegations, and where are they are going with these allegations? So it's ridiculous where this country is going at the moment.
People seem to be happy with all of this, Mr. Senasinghe. Like if you hold an election tomorrow.
Right. I'll give you the answer. That's something wrong with us. The UMP has not got the act together. That is the only problem. It is not that the government is doing well. And if you have to, it's in the end of the day, you see Putin, how corrupt they are. Venezuelan President Chavez and Obama. Obama is not corrupt, but like it's an individual who actually brings a party forward. It's not the individual's charisma, his principle, his way forward, his political ability that brings that party. So like we have not got that formula yet, got that right. The government is totally corrupt. However much they are corrupt, if we don't actually put forward a leader for the future who's actually going to get all that attention from the people and think that okay, this is the person who's going to, and that for that we need to then now Mr. Mahinda Rajapaksa is very good at showing that he has the nationalism. So you have to then put a person who has portrayed the nationalism also equally who's good with him, because whatever said and done, he has managed to do that well, whether it's right or wrong, and however much he says whatever he had done, and I have a lot of criticism, but people tend to think that he is nationalistic. So then there are UMP leaders who also can fit into the same bill. Then once that matches and balances, then the rest is how corrupt the two are, then the how capable. So then the UMP guy will always come on top, and especially with the minorities being with us now, because minorities are not with the government, not because they have favored the majority, because they have ill-treated the minority. They have not favored the majority also, but they have ill-treated the minority. So minority is really unsettled at this moment, and they will definitely, and the single vote will go 50-50 between the two candidates. And it has been the case. But the latter stages, because 9 of our leaders were killed and destroyed, we were not able to bring that force into power.
You spoke about, again in Parliament last week, you raised this issue about institutions being corrupt, and you pinpointed the bribery commission and several other institutions. Do you have proof of these?
I got proof, and I presented in Parliament. I didn't have much time because I was winding up speech, and I'm collecting all the data. It's nothing personal for me. It's if there are actually a bribery commission must be the most cleanest institution in the country, and if that place is you have doubts about that, it's only a doubt you have to create. You don't have to prove. So it's up to the people to decide whether, and it's up to the president must now take charge of this and see whether these allegations are correct or wrong.
Now you spoke of corruption within institutions as such. So do you actually talk about these, like apart from bribery commissioner, but do you actually talk about these? Are these just mere rhetoric, or do you actually have some basis with what you provide your criticism on.
Yeah, certain individuals we can be happy. There are certain actually appointments by government which are actually police, the head of the police, IG's appointment. I'm quite satisfied with all this pressure in this part of the world, in the third world country. He has actually done tremendous. I hope there will be another IG like him. But at the same time, he is also not perfect, and he has a lot of blunders because there's a limit that they also can be straightforward. So the system grabs you down and pins you down. So, like that, the new customs head is supposed to be a fair person. There are certain officials who are trying to do a good job, but the other places are total corrupted. If you see the custom head may be trying to do something, but the rest of the crowd and RMB, those other places. So customs, you see, like they have found some huge amount of ethanol again. And then the 250 kilograms of heroin or cocaine, and after confiscated, now there's only 150. Others have evaporated, the other 100. So how does this happen, and where are the culprits not being brought to justice? It's only a poor person in this country if you rob something from the neighbor, or if you in a village, if you pluck some illicit coconut or something, you will be in jail. But all the big and Mr. Mahinda Rajapaksa, in his I read all his Hansards, and he had been saying, what is the bribery doing that time? We are only catching the small fries. What about the sharks now the sharks are freely roaming around the country. 23 billion Mihinna and Nea Lanka losses last year. Year before that, 20 billion. Before that, 5 billion. During 2002-2003, we made profits in Nea Lanka. So during UMP time, few losses, about 200 million, 300 million, but it's okay. National Airline, if you're keeping a level playing field, not huge losses, a slight loss, even it's okay, because you have other benefits from that. But now 23 billion, who's going to pay this money? And it's not the hierarchy who's going to pay this money. It's not the top business guys who's going to pay. It's the poor person in the end. They're robbed, they are corrupt, one crowd, but it trickles down to the poor. End of the day, they pay. The highway comes, is nothing new. Highway also, you have 3 times the normal value expense you have spent on it. You say this is a bit of a marshy land where the highway was built, Kattunayake. Earlier it was only 5 billion. Estimate 5 billion. It ended up with 55 billion. How many times? Count and see. So how do you compare these? That was in 1991, it's 5 billion. 2000, 3 times we have signed over and over again. And we give a free hand to Chinese to do whatever they want to, because people are making money out of the commissions and the businesses. So it's about, if you add another $1 million, it's about 5 million. Okay, say it's 6 million. But they have spent 14 million for a kilometer, 4-lane kilometer. UMP managed to develop when Asia was at a very crucial juncture. But UMP gave the example to Asia. Now it's not like that. China, India is booming, and we can develop this country just a flick of a second actually. And that you need a good leader and a good mind and a person who understands what is business and a person who wants to do for the poor. Welfare also must be taken care of. About 30-40 must be out of our economy. 30-40% must go for the welfare. Another 60% must go for the development. It's infrastructure. You must have roads at the proper price, but not like 3 times of what you are building. You could have built 3 Kattunayake highways with the same money. So if you get your act together, sky's the limit for Sri Lanka, and UMP can do that. And we have always shown that. You can't show one finger at any of our leaders. None of our leaders have been corrupt, and I can vouch for that. And in the future also, UMP leaders won't be corrupt.
One thing, you spoke about the welfare economy. One thing that this government is riding on, and why the UMP lost in 2000 after the election, was the fact of their neoliberal policies, that they cut down the welfare economy, and it went on a different drive. Whereas this government is on a nationalist, on a welfare, on providing, say, Divinaguma, on jobs for the poor, or Gamanaguma, or their programs, on whatever their programs. But the welfare economy is catered to, on nationalism.
This is wrong. No welfare economy is catered by this government. You tell me where there is welfare, none of the people, even the Govi Vishram were to for the farmers, That took years to come, and it's actually they have provided money for that. 3 years they were not paid. What welfare? If you don't pay for the farmer, the ones who cultivates paddy, where is welfare in this country? That is the most important. And I'll tell you why we did that. And there's no welfare. There's no even for Janasavya. There was a replacement for Janasavya. And that is not working now. That's about, they pay about, I think, 200, 500. What is that? No, for Janasavya, which is the government's now Samurdhi. So for 400, not even 3 or 4 coconuts you can buy for a month. And no welfare at all in this government. What UMP did was actually, within 2 years, people don't know where you're heading now. So like our president was not the UMP president, so she could have easily, any time, she could have dissolved the parliament, and she did that. If not for that, 4.5 billion would have come as aid to Sri Lanka. And we could have had every development done with that money in Sri Lanka. All the infrastructure, not Hambantota, white elephant in Hambantota.
With Prabhakaran still alive?
He would have been dead by now. If UMP was in power, he would have still done the same thing which he did in Mavilaru. And then we have no choice, and definitely we would have started the war as well. And we were the ones actually, UMP was the war party. Mahinda Rajapaksa, SLP was the peace party. And UMP would have definitely started, and if Mavilaru was closed. And this eventually, then we would have had the same result as now. It was Sarath Fonseca who fought the war. There would have been other generals who would be fighting with Sarath, along with Sarath. We also would have actually got Sarath Fonseca to fight this war. And that would have happened. And as a result, we got a minus 1.5 economy in 2001. So we had to cut down the welfare economy and we brought it to 6.8 within 2 years, UMP. Minus 1.5 when Chandrika's government gave us in 2001. No country has been having a minus growth rate. You know that. Not even Iceland, not even Greece. We had minus 1.5. If they stayed in government, no proper, as you said, welfare program also, but still we would have had about minus 10 economy, and we would have been fallen by now. And UMP came and brought it up to 6.8, and then they started giving all the jobs, and they have actually destroyed the economy again. And you see now the economy is, as you know, is not moving forward. You show the per capita income, you show all that, but jobs, employment, 60,000 has lost out of the employment. So how does that happen? If the country is developing, there must have been about 150,000 jobs created. Nothing. And the workforce also has come down by 400,000. So how is it happening? I don't know. And people are wondering, economies are wondering how they show a growth rate, and census department they showed. They manipulated that also. So this is a total facade. This government is a total facade. One crowd is in Lamborghinis, horse racing, all the luxuries. The rugby captains, these captains, this is like in Iraq. Still, just like Saddam Hussein's regime.
And finally, Mr. Senasinghe, what plans personally, what are your personal goals for the new year? And where do you hope to see the UMP realistically within the year 2014?
It's a patient game. Politics, I have learned, is a patient game. Now I sacrifice my life for politics. So I have to make sure my finances are sound, that I can take this fight for a long time, and I can stand up to my principles and stick to my principles. And that's what is most important to me and my family and my father and my grandfather. And all what they have said. My father is a lawyer, senior lawyer in Kandy. And what they have said, I'm third and fourth generation lawyer. So all what they have said is stick to your principles, and that's what I'm doing. I stick to my principles as much as possible, because I can't sleep. My blood is that. It's not my choice. I'm born like that. And people ask me whether I'm also jumping to the side, and I get really angry also, because repeatedly I'm saying I'm not. And you also once in a way have asked me that question. I have said, don't even dream of you having the idea that I'll never ever cross over, because I don't need to. I got into politics not because I want to make money or I need power, or I'm a very simple man. But I love my luxuries. I love old cars. I love my normal life. I love music. I like to travel. I like a good life. But I don't need this power. I'm not. Somebody asked me, don't you like to be a minister? I said, no. What can I do as a minister? If you can do without a minister, you can do. If I can be the housing minister and build 1 million houses, then I'll be happy. But other than that, what's a minister? What can you? A couple of bodyguards waiting outside, and you feel bad, no? STF guys, 6 guys in the same kit waiting outside for you, and I don't do that. My even the one police guy I have, and he's always at home. I drive by myself to Parliament. I drive for parties. I drive by myself most of the time. Only when I go for a political sort of thing, I take them, because can be confrontation. People can, so you need them once in a way. So other than that, so my goals are to stick to my principles and be patient and do the right work and speak when it's right, and always stand up for what is right, and hold the party together and do everything to bring UMP into power within my capacity, and to lead a good life, happy life also for myself while doing that, and leave a legacy one day to say that Sujeewa Senasinghe was one of the greatest leaders in this country, and do something for the poor in this country and uplift the standard of living, bring that children, the poor children, some hope for the future, a good job for them to, once they finish their studies, to make about 100,000, and to think of their relations, their parents, and the whole country to have a better lifestyle. Not 100%, but at least 80%, 90%, equivalent to something close to Switzerland. One day, if I can put the foundation, like in Brazil, Lula da Silva, one person has done that. So I'll be the happiest to do that, and all I expect from people is love, affection, and respect. I don't need anything else. The day I don't get that, I'm out of politics. And I'm not going to leave UMP ever in my life. First breath was from UMP, and my last breath will be from UMP. But what is right for the party, I'll always stand up and fight. And what is right for the country, I'll always stand up and fight.
Thank you very much.